Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. We're out at the Bushcraft Base Camp here in New Hampshire, as you can see. And today we're talking about this, which is the Atrox from Condor Tool and Knife. Now I know you're going to want to hear the details and some of the information about it, but let's just start off and put this thing to use, get to some chopping, shall we? Just on the other side of the camera, there's some small bushes, trees, undergrowth. I'm trying to clear out this area to get some more airflow in at the Bushcraft Base Camp. So let me grab the Atrox and we'll see how it does with that. There you go, there's the first one. Just for kicks, I'm going to chop this piece of wood, see how it works. Sometimes little plants and saplings like this can be a hassle because when you slice at them, your blade bounces off just because they're so flexible. So let's see how this guy works on this. Let me get a good angle so I don't chop my foot. Piece of cake. There we go. Just look real quick here, no rolls or anything. Looks good. Do a little wood processing here. This is just a down tree that I'm going to chop up to use for firewood. That's that. Chop this little one off here. Looks like that broke off. Not chopped through, but still did it quickly. Let's do this one in half here. That's 2 chops and it's halfway through. Maybe go from the other side here. There's 4, all done. So obviously this wasn't a massive tree I processed down, but it was probably a 6-8 foot piece of wood, and you saw the Atrox made work of it pretty quick. On the spine side here, it looks like you have another edge. It actually isn't sharpened, but I'm thinking that you could probably do some scraping with it, so just thought I'd try that out. If I wanted to get some shavings, some curls, and you can see already it's doing some work. Obviously you want to be careful because you're dealing with the blade right here, but it can work. So just real quick, that's what we got from the spine side of the Atrox. See about getting some feathers now. A little bit tougher like this. I'm afraid to push too hard. I don't want my hand to slip. So can do a little bit, but let me just try it normally, you know, just holding the blade like this. Yeah, that feels much safer and easier. So that's what your feathers look like. Okay, we have the Atrox and a very small fire steel here. It's inconvenient to use a small fire steel on the spine of a knife, but it also it shows how well the spine works. If you have a big fire steel, it's easier to operate. This one is inconvenient, so it kind of presses the issue to see how sharp the spine is, how well it works. I got some fire strip roll here from Production Hanger 51. Great products across the board for fire starting. Check them out, Production Hanger 51. This is the fire strip roll. He's got fat rope stick, lots of other good things. So let's see if we can get this started and get a fire started. There's that. So this is all wood processed with the Atrox. I got some feather sticks here. I got some other wood that I broke down real small. Everything is just super damp in New Hampshire because we've had so much rain recently. But it looks like this is gonna work okay. Let me give you some of the details here on the Atrox. 21.28 ounces is what it weighs. Reminds me of an ESEE Junglas as far as how it feels in hand based on the weight. I do have some other choppers I'll show you in a second, but it feels notably lighter than like the Elchete. That's just a huge knife. 1075 high carbon steel. You're looking at about 17 3/4 inches from end to end, and you're looking at about 11 for the blade, and then about 7 for the handle. You can see the blade actually goes back beyond where the handle starts, so that's why it's kind of an interesting measurement. Got that two-tone micarta there, which is cool. You could sharpen that up to make it better for throwing fire steels, just to let you know. As far as when I'm chopping, it feels very comfortable in hand. It does have this little hook here, so it does allow you to kind of lock your hand in. I purposely try knives without a lanyard when I start, just to see how it feels. I would throw a lanyard on here, but I'm not like I have to have a lanyard. This thing is out of control. Very manageable as I'm swinging and chopping. And then, you know, you can choke up and do some of that finer work. As you saw, it wasn't uncomfortable for me to do that. Despite the fact that it's a pretty long blade, I don't feel like it's, you know, flying all over the place as I'm trying to do feather sticks. It's not like I don't have control at the far end of it. Very easy to control, I found. You can see you've got the tubing here. That's what keeps your handle in place. It is full tang, so it goes all the way down to the end. And comfortable handle. Sometimes you get a handle that's just kind of thrown together and it's beat up, or it's just rough on the edges. And yeah, this was not the case. So comfortable to hold, fun to use, easy to chop with. I think that's kind of the details I would share. Did I say 21.28 ounces? Yeah, I already said that. 21.28 ounces. And that's the Atrox. Slicing definitely did the job. I did some slicing on and off camera, and it cut through those thinner saplings and things like that. Chopping, it worked. I mean, I used it aggressively. You saw that huge knot that was in that thing I was batoning, that piece of wood I was batoning. No rolls, no chips, no dings. I haven't had a lot of issues with steel rolling from Condor. I know some other people have had issues with the bush lore, for example, but for me, haven't had any major issues, or really any issues as far as the steel rolling or getting any dings in it. I'm just double checking it, and it looks really good to me. No issues at all. So as always, I use the tools on camera and then off camera as well, and slicing, chopping, batoning, feather sticking, I mean everything, it worked well. Another thing I did to process wood was get some small pieces of wood, stab through them into my chopping block, and then twist the blade to pop them into smaller pieces, and no issues with the tip whatsoever. I think they call this their Condor edge. So I'm going to ask Joe Flowers what exactly that means, how he defines it. And but it did come pretty sharp. I wouldn't call it razor sharp. I would touch it up. But again, I generally like to get a knife and use it from the factory as it is, unless it's like terrible, just to see, you know, how they send out their knives and tools. So let me grab the sheath and talk about that. There's some things I want you to know about. Here's a look at your sheath. You can see it's a mix of Kydex and leather on the back. And these two straps you can run through MOLLE, you can attach it to a pack, and then obviously just run it on your belt. I'll roll in some footage here so you can actually see what it looks like on my belt. It's comfortable. I mean, inevitably it's going to move around a little bit, but still I just think it's really cool the way they actually, the way they did it. Now, the one thing I'll mention to you is that the Kydex needs to be tighter. That is something that you can do on your own. If you're comfortable with Kydex, you can get online, look it up, or you can, if you know somebody who works on Kydex, you can probably send it to them and they can tighten it up. Or I'd like to recommend Black Bear Custom Kydex. My buddy over there does awesome work. So if you want to get a custom Kydex for the Atrox, that's something you can think about. Now the reason this is worth mentioning is because you're spending a good amount of money on the knife, and the sheath is something that you're paying for because you got leather and Kydex. But let me just, I don't want to drop the knife on the ground, but just to show you real quick, I did this like on my couch the other day. I mean, like that's how easy it comes out. So it definitely, there's no Kydex click when it goes in, just listen. It's kind of a Kydex blah. That's unfortunate. I think if you don't want to get an additional, Kydex or make a new sheath for it, put a lanyard through here. You can run a little bolt here, and then maybe you could put like a piece of paracord or like not elastic, what am I thinking? Kind of like small bungee. Run it through there and then run it down here and lock it in, or you can do that on two sides as well. Yeah, that's a workaround. It's not going to cost you a lot of money as opposed to getting a brand new sheath. I really like the look of this sheath. I just wish it was a little bit more snug, because it's a big knife, and especially if I had it on my pack and my pack was bouncing up and down as I'm walking. I don't want this thing to all of a sudden start slipping out. I mean, get somebody else injured, or just lose it. That would be a major bummer out in the woods. So your price point for this is $109 on Amazon right now at the time of this video, and I think that's reasonable for what you're getting. I was thinking it was going to be closer to $130, maybe a little bit more. If we could figure out, or if you could figure out if you purchase it, how to resolve the sheath issue, then I think you got a nice sheath, a nice tool for around $100. I think that's a good deal. I mentioned I had some other chopping tools here. Let me show you a couple of them. This is the K-Tac Kukri, which I feel like I heard this is no longer being made by Condor, but it's very similar to their original Kukri. Nice cutting tool. I do like the Atrox more than this. I like the Kukri, but I just felt like the Atrox, so I can get this back in the sheath without cutting myself. I felt like the Atrox, it would be a tool I would use more overall, and I feel like it just has a couple advantages as far as size, easier to baton, though it did beat up my baton pretty severely. Yeah, I like this, I just like the Atrox more. So that's one cutting tool. And then this beast, this is the El Chete from Tops, much more expensive than the Atrox. Different style. I mean, it's like a huge cleaver out in the woods. This thing is a bear of a chopper, definitely thicker than the Atrox. I don't know if you can see that there, but it is. Yeah, I mean I think that's a little bit. I think it's over a 1/4 inch. But anyhow, if it's either a 1/4 inch or bigger. So, and a different handle. I mean, you got this big finger choil there where you kind of rest your hand in like that, whereas this one has that full handle and you kind of got the lock in at the end. So two cool tools, but again, you're paying notably more for the El Chete than you are for the Atrox. So final thoughts on the Atrox. I like it. $1075 versus $1095 for the hungless. It's got a hungless type feel to me, like large chopper, but still very easy to handle. I think the function is going to be pretty similar. Yeah, so it's been cool, and I'm going to keep using it. I'll let you guys know about that. Again, I know people have had some issues, they said in the past, with the Condor steel, but this one looks really good despite all the aggressive use. Once again, we've been looking at the Atrox from Condor Tool and Knife. I got links down below in the description section. If you want to pick this up, it's available over at Amazon, and then you can also go over to their website, condortk.com, and you can find out more about other items they have. I've got probably another 3 or 4 that I'm looking to review in the next month or 2, so stay tuned for those guys. But this guy's been fun to use. Yeah, it's cool. I've been liking it. And I'll keep using it and let you know how it continues to function for me. Thanks as always for checking out the videos here on YouTube. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, Tumblr, and Vero as well. And if you watch this far, in a comment below, say, send me some fire starting gear. Just say that. Send me some fire starting gear. First person to do that, I'm going to send you some gear from Production Hangar 51 for getting your campfire started. All right, send me some fire starting gear. That comment, first person to do it, get some free gear. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Take care.